Greetings and welcome to the Gamer Hobbit. Today we're covering Mode Creatures by DrZharky. Mode Creatures adds a diverse array of new mobs to your world. Bringing some much needed life or challenge to your game, these mobs can be fought for their loot to create new items and gear, or can be tamed and outfitted by the player with special items. As the name implies, Mode Creatures adds in a plethora of new mobs to find on your travels, both above and below ground, and across dimensions. Adding in a mixture of passive, neutral, and hostile mobs, these new mobs come in all shapes and sizes, ranging from crickets to manticores. Some mobs can be found quite frequently, whilst other mobs, like Komodo dragons, only spawn in specific biomes. To spice up the mob diversity, several mobs can spawn in multiple variants, with some being more common, whilst others require a bit more exploring to find. To make your world a bit more immersive, these creatures have their own behaviours and animations. Predatorial mobs like leopards will hunt other mobs for food, turtles will hide in their shells when approached, and goats will eat up entire inventories when in proximity to recently deceased players. For some extra difficulty, few mobs can only be harmed by certain weapons. For example, werewolves are only vulnerable to silver swords, with all other weapons dealing little to no damage. With new mobs to find, comes in several opportunities to tame them. Depending on the mob, it will require a different way to tame it. Smaller aquatic mobs like stingrays and jellyfish will need to be caught by fish nets, whilst mobs like raccoons and elephants need to be fed specific items. Alternatively, most fish mobs and some land mobs have a 10% chance to drop their eggs, which when hatched will become tamed. Straying too far from an egg, however, will result in the hatchling to turn wild, meaning you will have to require another egg if you want a tamed one. Different eggs will require different approaches to hatch. Eggs from snakes need to be close to well-lit areas, and eggs from aquatic animals must be submerged underwater. Once tamed, you can choose to name your mob. This can be renamed anytime by using a name tag, book, or medallion on them. The type of mob you tame can be used for different purposes. Bunnies and birds will grant speed boosts when riding mobs, whilst larger mobs like elephants and bears can be saddled and outfitted with chests. Few mobs will also have an exclusive trait, such as the ability to climb walls when riding scorpions. Although tamed mobs can be bred normally, hybrid mobs can also be made, through breeding two different horse or big cat species. Hybrid mobs like Xhorsers are important for transforming them into special mobs with essences. Even though tamed mobs can give you some good company, they can prove annoying to have. Fortunately, Mode Creatures includes new items that can make them more manageable. Several pet amulets can be crafted, giving you the ability to store or release tamed mobs. Various essences can be crafted and given to some mobs that produce interesting results. Depending on which essence you make and the type of mob you feed it to, the results will differ. For example, ostriches become fireproof with fire essence, panthers acquire wings when given darkness essence, and light essence heals pegasus and unicorns. If you don't have saddles, don't worry, you can now craft one yourself. Tusks can be outfitted to elephants and mammoths, granting them the ability to break blocks. If you decided that you no longer want your tame mob, you can either set them free with a scroll of freedom, or trade them with other players using a scroll of sale. With new mobs comes in new kinds of loot to require. Alongside dropping eggs, new food sources can be harvested, letting you find alternate or better sources of food easier. Animal skins can drop that can be combined to yield new armor sets, with sets of chitin armor granting positive effects when wearing any full set. New weapons can be obtained, whether it's through crafting them with animal drops or by killing mobs like silver skeletons. Killing a fire, undead, or darkness-based mob will have a chance to drop hearts that are used for the creation of essences. There's also other loot to acquire, but I'll let you discover that for yourself. Players can also explore a new dimension, the Wyvern Lair. For you to gain access, you will need to craft yourself the Wyvern Portal Staff, made with a combination of a blaze rod, an Eye of Ender, and either a unicorn horn or essence of light. Once crafted, simply right click it on a block and you're through. Be mindful to arm yourself beforehand, for this dimension is home to many dangerous creatures and home of the wyverns. This dimension, however, isn't infinite, but a single large island. When you've decided to return to the overworld, head to the court shrine located in the centre of the island and use the staff. Despite giving players a new place to explore, it does feel empty in what it offers. Mo Creatures has come a long way back when it was in its beta days. Despite being so old, it still competes well against the newer mob mods. The mobs look great with their new textures, animations and sounds. The models are blocky enough to feel like they could fit in the game, yet not too blocky where they're just rectangular prisms with legs. If you need help figuring out how to keep your kitty satisfied, or want to know how to make your own Ninja Turtles, then the wiki can help you with that. Thanks to DrZharky for making this great mod, and link to download it is in the description below. And that is all for today. Thank you all for watching, and have a good day.